Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Shannon and today I am bringing you the finally fall tag. I will apologise, we are having a storm here in Scotland, so the lighting isn't the best situation. I find it really hard in winter to film because when it comes into the darker nights and the duller days, I use like natural daylight to film, so in winter, it does get a little bit tricky and the lighting is subjectable. So if the lighting changes or if you hear anything, I do apologize. But unfortunately, I can't control the weather, even though that would be a really cool superpower. Because like I love like really heavy rain, but I only like it when I haven't got all this done. So if I could control the weather, I could make it rain when I want, but I could also stop it from raining and ruining all of this effort. Anyways, let's get into the finally fall tag. This is probably my favorite like season. As I said, I really like the rain, so it just works so well. The only thing I don't like about this weather is that there's a lot of spiders. And I don't fuck with spiders. So, I'm always on the edge of a panic attack in fall. But I mean, the cozy vibes, and when it's weather like this, it's storming outside, and you can curl up with a good book and a cup of coffee in your favorite dressing gown and just live your best life with a really good book. That is what I really enjoy with fall. So let's get right on into these tag questions. The first question is: in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. And for this, I've went with The Last Tales of the Flower Bride. This has such a vivid setting. In this, we follow a man who marries Indigo Maxwell, and she makes him promise that he won't pry into her past. But when her dying aunt is in need of help, she has to return to her childhood home, the House of Dreams. Well, this house has, bad memories, good memories, but the most mysterious thing is that Indigo's best friend, Azure, vanished without a trace and no one knows what happened. So you follow Indigo and her new groom as they go back to the House of Dreams. And the House of Dreams is such a vivid setting. It's gothic, kind of macabre. You don't quite know where the house is. You don't know if like the descriptions of the house are set in realistic times or if there's kind of a whimsy to this house. I mean, it's called the House of Dreams. So you never quite know, but this house feels alive. This setting feels very lively and well written. I really enjoyed being in this story. I think that this took me by surprise because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel going into this because it sounded so promising. And I will say this book does deliver exactly what you want it to going in. And if you're looking for something that is going to immerse you in a setting that is just gothic and dark and mysterious, this book will do that. So if you're looking for it, enter the House of Dreams and you will not come out the same because this book really done me. I was not expecting what happened in the third act of this book. So not only is it well written and has a gothic setting, it is also a brilliant plot, in my opinion. The next question is: nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book beautifully written with heavy topics. And for this, I've decided to go with Dear Medusa by Olivia A. Cole. I picked this up on a whim because I really like the cover, like I like the artwork on the cover. So I picked this up on a whim, and it's written in verse. But it follows a young girl as she comes to terms with a trauma that has happened to her. And it's just so beautifully written because, it's such hard hitting topics in this book, but the way the author writes makes you feel and feel exactly what you're meant to feel. And it's just so beautifully done. I will read you something that I have tabbed to try and get you to understand what I mean. My classmates ignore me except Shane Bolter, who flips paper wads at my hunched shoulders. It is incredible to me that boys are allowed to be boys for so long while girls are made to be women years before we're ready. It's so good. It's so good. The writing's so good. It does follow hard topics, but it's a book that's going to make you feel. This book is going to make you feel some things. Um, let's see what we have here. But lately, I've been feeling off balance, and I realize the more I learn about myself, the further from the center I am. And even though it means I am not like Blake or Clay, the further from the center I get, the freer I feel. Does that make sense? But the further you get from the thing that claims to love you, as long as you obey its rules, the happier you will be. Like, I just think this book is important. I believe this is YA, and it's very important to have these conversations in a younger setting as well, because you know younger people experience trauma too, and to have such a poignant view on trauma and being a young woman and struggling, it's important. And I think that this book can hit at any age. This can hit you if you've had experiences like what this character experiences. You're going to enjoy this. I just feel like I can't talk today. I feel like all my words are really stunted, and I don't know if like why that is. Like, I feel like I'm saying the right things, but in my head I'm like, that sounded stupid, and now I'm like, is this whole video just going to be me rambling a bunch of nonsense? I do not know. Welcome to the chaos. This is what you get, unfortunately. The next question is, I don't. The next question is, follows back to school season, a non-fiction book that taught you something. I don't really read nonfiction. I pretty much exclusively read fiction because I think of like I think of reading as a form of escape, and I'm not opposed to reading nonfiction. If one like really took my interest, I would definitely give it a go. But for me, I just I like the escapism of reading fiction. So I don't really have an answer for this, unfortunately, but that's okay because we can't all like everything and read everything, and I vibe with the fiction. I vibe with the escape from reality. Next, we have, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with people we love. Name a fictional family or friend group or household you'd like to be a part of. So for this, I could have went with a few different answers, but nothing is going to compare to the Final Empire. I was on my Brandon Sanderson kick this year. I had never picked up a Brandon Sanderson book. The hype makes this so intimidating because I'm like, what if I hate it? Or what if I just don't get it? Like, I always worried that with these like high epic fantasy books that I'm just not gonna like get immersed in the world. But I really did with this, and I think it would be really nice to be part of the group specifically in this book. The later, like the second book, I haven't read the third one yet. The second book follows a slightly different group, but I would love to be part of Kessler's rebellion. Like, I just think I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't be Mistborn. Like, that would be too lucky for me, and I don't have luck. I probably wouldn't be Mistborn, but even if I was just like a regular everyday like Tenai, I would be totally happy with that. Or like just to be part of the strategy that is in this book, part of the rebellion that you know, takes the world in its hands. I think it would be so fun. Also, all the different mixes of personalities in this. Like, I could just see myself sipping tea with Sazed and chatting about all the things of religion and belief systems, and really diving deep into all of it. And I can see myself like training with Vin and Kessler and being like, I can't do all the things you can do, but like, can you teach me some moves? And like, just like battling with Ham, strategizing with Ham. And, it's just, this book was so good, and I would love to be part of this rebellion. The next question is, the colourful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall coloured spines. So I went with this. Oh goodness, how do I hold this? I went with The Last Tales of the Flower Bride, God Killer, A Dowry of Blood, and She Who Became the Sun. I have not read She Who Became the Sun yet. This is like the only one I haven't read out of the stack. But like this looks like very fall vibes. But also these are the sprayed edges. And these look like very fall sprayed edges. Don't you think? So these these are the books that I have chosen for not only the fall spines, I'm being really awkward here, but the fall sprayed edges, which I just love. They're so aesthetically pleasing. Next, we have fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book where someone tells a story. And for this, I have I always say a true crime story, but it's just True Crime Story by Joseph Knox. So this is a story told to us by Evelyn Mitchell. She is like a investigative journalist, and she is looking into the disappearance of Zoe Nolan. I was right. Zoe Nolan was seen on her university campus, and she left one night and she hasn't been seen since. So this is told in like a very interesting format. I actually have this dust jacket on the wrong way. Great. So this is told in like redacted emails and in messages and like newspaper clippings. So it is kind of like a mixed media book. I need to sort this. It is like a mixed media book. So essentially, you're being told this story not only by Evelyn, who is the investigative journalist, but you're also being told it through other people who email her and newspaper clippings and phone conversations. So there is multiple people telling you the story of Zoe Nolan, and I highly recommend this one. This one was a really good read. It was very different than I expected. I picked this up expecting your everyday thriller. It is not that. It is, a little bit deeper than your everyday thriller, and because of the mixed media aspect, it takes on this like kind of truth to it. Like actually had to Google to see if this was based on a true case because it felt believable to me. And if you're going to get told a story, you might as well get told one that you start to believe. And this is that. The next question is: The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy story. So I actually have two for these because I couldn't just pick one because it depends what kind of mood you're in. So if you're looking for something creepy and more on the supernatural side of things, I would go with White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is actually one of my least favorite Tiffany D. Jacksons, but it doesn't matter what she writes because her writing is still a hit. The plot in this was a little like the ending really sucked for me, but everything else in this is worth reading. Like the anxiety rep, it's about Marigold, and she's kind of like she's anxious, which is relatable, but also she is haunted, and you're kind of joining her through her move to a new place, and it follows the hauntings of her and the things happening around her. And I really enjoyed the anxiety rep. I really enjoyed the character of Marigold. The reason this didn't get a full 5 star like all of Tiffany D. Jackson's other work is because of the ending. I didn't vibe with it, but I still recommend it because it is amazing writing. Like Tiffany D. Jackson could do no wrong with her writing. It was just the plot in this one. The ending didn't really quite hit for me. So if you do pick this up, I would like to know if the ending worked for you. Because like I'm always quite interested to see if it's just me, but I do highly recommend this given that the anxiety rep and the like creepy sensation of feeling haunted and the writing. If you're feeling like you want something a bit darker, I have a recent read here, which is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Everyone recommended this in thriller videos and disturbing book videos, and I finally bit the bullet and read it. And now I'm recommending it because this is a dark story. This is probably the darkest thriller I've ever read, and it goes some places that thrillers don't normally tend to do. In this, we follow Claire, who has been living her best life until one day her husband is killed due to a mugging. This then puts everything into question. Claire's younger sister Julia disappeared years and years ago, and that has been a cloud hanging over their family. And Claire reconnects with her other sister because she starts finding out things that her husband is into, and she has nowhere else to reach out to. So together, Claire and her sister start uncovering this web of lies and secrets that her husband had spun. This shocked me. It went there. It was, it was uncomfortable. It was dark. If you're looking for a thriller that pushes the boundaries of the genre, I recommend this one because this made me real uncomfy and I lived for it. I gave it 5 stars. The next question is: the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold, rainy day. Another recent read for me is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I loved I loved this. This was everything that I wanted and nothing that I had expected. In this, we follow Mika Moon, who is a witch, and witches are to be never seen, never heard, never known. And Mika is a witch on one of these social media apps, and not everyone's happy about this because they think that she is risking exposure. She doesn't think she is because she's like, no one believes that I'm a witch. Like, no one's going to believe that this is real magic. Well, someone does. Someone sees her videos and realizes that she is a real witch and asks her to come help. In this, we follow like friendship, found family, it's just so warm and cozy and happy. All the characters are really well developed. The setting is really well developed. Like everything in this is quite low stakes. Like it gets higher stakes towards the end, but like for a lot of this book, it feels very low stakes because you kind of know everything's going to work out. It's one of those books where I don't really think it surprises you, but you're in it for the vibes. So this definitely works if you're looking for a heartwarming read. It's short, fast, and you just fall in love with the characters and the world. Next, we have Fall returns every year. Name an old favourite you'd like to return to soon. For this, I have The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I read this probably about 5, 6 years ago and fell in love. It is hard hitting. It's been so long. I have not read this in like 5 or 6 years, so I am a little bit, you know, um, not with the details because it's been so long. But I do remember loving this. This is a hard hitting book. This follows Eden, who is essayed by her brother's best friend, and she is entering into her senior year and following the trauma and the, feelings that she has with this life changing event. And I just remember absolutely loving this. Like, it was a hard read, but I remember reading this and crying. And also, the reason I want to reread this is because there is a sequel coming out this year, I believe. I will put on screen a picture of the sequel and the date that it comes out. I would like to reread this so that I could read the sequel because I loved this so much when I was younger. I think that I'm owe it to this book, to my younger self, and to the sequel to reread and continue. I have one thing tabbed in this. I didn't really annotate or tag or write notes or anything when I read this. It wasn't really a time in my life where I read like that. I have now evolved and I write notes on everything or I annotate, tab, like I do all the things. But back then I just read and it was a simpler time. Sometimes I kind of miss it. I don't know what I've tabbed. Let's see. I turn on the ceiling light and my desk lamp and then pull out my sleeping bag from the top shelf of my closet. I roll it out onto the floor and try to think of anything but the reason why I cannot bring myself to sleep in my bed. I lie down, half falling, half collapsing onto my bedroom floor. I pull my pillow over my head and I cry so hard I don't know how I'll ever stop. I cry or I cry for what feels like days. I cry until there's no more tears, like I have used them all up, like maybe I've broken my damn tear ducts. Then I just make the sounds, the gasping and sniffling. I feel like I might just fall asleep and not wake up. In fact, I almost hope I do. Oh, that's heavy. This book is heavy. Please look up trigger warnings for this and Pretty Girls. Those are the two that I would say to look. Oh, and Dear Medusa. Those are like the three that I would say look up trigger warnings for if you're, worried about the contents of the book, because they are all hard reads, in my opinion. The final question is show your bookish accessories. So I have here like this. I have here this really gross, like it was essentially a um makeup brush bag. Um and then I started using it as a pencil case. So all my pens like started dying. And now it is my, you know, annotating, like reading things. So I have like some bookmarks all in here, which, you know, I barely ever use a bookmark. I always use like a random piece of paper, or like sometimes I dog ear if they're my copies, don't at me. I also have like these highlighter pens. They're kind of like, I bought them off Amazon. I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see this. I bought them off Amazon, and they work fine. They do not bleed onto the next page, which I really enjoy. Um, I also have my trusty Tombow pens. I really love these pens. These sometimes bleed, but if the paper's tougher, these are smoother to write with, but I don't necessarily use these to highlight. I more use these if I like want to doodle like little things that aren't going to be too inky, if that makes sense. Then I just have like a bunch of writing utensils. So I really enjoy like mechanical pencil in case I don't want to be too permanent. And then I have the Tombow Fudineschi pen. I really enjoy this for taking notes because I love the hard tip one, and it just works so smooth. And then if I actually want to like take notes, I have a lot of these pens, but it's just essentially like a ballpoint pen. But this one is from Granite Noir, so I kind of like having that in my pack because it's from a book festival. And then lastly, in my little pack, I have loads of these just um post page tabs, post-it notes, whatever you'd like to call them. I buy these from Amazon in like big packs, and I just mix and match how I feel, how the book hits me, or you know, I color code how the book's making me feel. And apart from like candles and fuzzy socks and blankets, probably the most important thing is my reading light. So it clips on to whatever you want it to. It's essentially meant to clip onto a book, and then you can hold this over the book, but it's not exactly the most comfortable thing. So I tend to set this up on like my pillow next to me and have the light like shining down on to the book. It has like three settings, no, two settings, sorry. It has like the warm light and the cool tone light, and it's USB chargeable. I use this thing every night. I paid £10 on Amazon for it, and now I cannot live without it. Um, it means that I can read in a dark room without having to think about having a light on. Like sometimes, or quite a lot of the time, I will use my Kindle if I plan to read in the dark. But when I'm reading a physical book and I don't want to stop, this thing is what saves me all the time. And I love it. I couldn't live without it now. If this breaks, I will purchase another one. And that is all I have for you today. That is the finally fall tag. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your answers to these questions in the comments. I would really love to see your answers so I can maybe take some of your book recommendations. Um, yeah, I hope you're having a great day, great week, great weekend, whenever the hell you're watching this. Remember to stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Pick it up from the top, hit